An assassin is probably going to become a lot more meta because they have changed up how Fire Blast is going to be getting its synergies, and the total damage output is actually kind of nutso now, as well as getting a buff to Wake of Fire, and the better farming spots. Wake of Fire is a skill that is really important to understand because it's very easy to waste your time when it comes to Wake of Fire. So first and foremost, this is a trap that is going to work like any other trap. So it's not going to gain any benefits from +2 elemental damage or minus enemy res on your gear, so you don't need to wear any facets for it. This is going to deal fire damage in a traveling arrow-shaped projectile that has next hit delay. So Wake of Fire has a 4-frame next hit delay, so it's roughly 1/6 of a second. When Wake of Fire deals damage to a target, that target cannot be hit by any other skill which has next hit delay until the end of those 4 frames. So if you were to drop a Wake of Fire trap and it were to hit a monster, somebody running by shooting out multi-shot or casting Poison Nova or casting regular Nova actually can't deal damage in the same 4 frames as the Wake of Fire trap. Now, if you take a look at Wake of Fire, we're going to see that actually sounds like it's pretty difficult to pilot. And why is that? As you can see, with more than one target, your fire very quickly hits everybody within a pack. Now I'm casting 5 traps. It doesn't look like they're really dying that fast though. You remember I dropped all 5 traps, and by the end of the trap's life, so they're only going to be shooting 5 times, a couple monsters died in it. Let's use only 2 traps. We're using 2 traps, we're getting to the end of the trap's life, and monsters are just about dead, and in fact, some of them already died. And again, I'm only going to use 2 traps here. Interesting. It almost looks like the monsters are dying at the exact same rate. It's because of this thing, this next hit delay. Now, the going wisdom from people who understand how to use the skill is you only cast 2 traps, and it kind of doesn't matter where you drop the trap. And that's not entirely true. The reason why they say drop only 2 traps is because Wake of Fire only shoots so often, according to shots per second. So you'll see that they fire off their waves every 17 frames. Now, what does that mean? If you have 2 traps going, and the first one were to hit, it's now waiting 17 frames to shoot again. While that 17 frame countdown is going, there's a 4-frame countdown, which is next hit delay. The second trap will fire, it will hit, and then that one is on cooldown, so on and so forth. You have this off-time counter going, which is a 17-frame delay before it will shoot, and a 4-frame delay before the monster can take damage again from other next hit delay skills. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the spreadsheet that I made to show that you can actually hit a monster simultaneously with 3 traps. You just have to be able to perfectly space out your traps so that they're at the exact range that they would need to be, so that every 4 frames the monster is being hit. Just know that if you're playing on a much more casual and non-Rain Man level, you just want to drop 2 traps, and they will be keeping up a consistent barrage of fire every 4 frames very consistently. Now, obviously, sources like lower resistance or conviction aura are going to decrease enemy fire res, and that will increase damage on the monster, and if they are broken, Wake of Fire will be able to deal damage to immune monsters if these effects would reduce them below 100% resistance. The fire damage is pretty good, and since Fire Blast doesn't have next hit delay either, while these are raining down fire staccato on them, you can be dropping other damage sources like Fire Blast. That's why this build is so strong, really. The only other thing that's kind of interesting to know is that this sentry has an awareness radius of 10 yards. So what does that mean? Again, from your character here, 10 yards is roughly here on your screen if you're playing in the 1920 by 1080 resolution. And the waves can actually travel further than this, but they aren't able to target monsters that far out. So, as long as something is within this radius, your Wake of Fire will tend to hit monsters that are outside of the radius if they happen to be running in, but actually outside of your awareness radius. Across all traps, or everything in the trap tree, the most important thing to know here is that your trap laying speed, so literally how fast you put down a trap, is directly related to your increased attack speed and your weapon's speed modifier. Basically what it means is, the more increased attack speed and faster weapon you have, the faster you're going to put down traps. And that also goes for anything else in the trap tree, like something like Fire Blast or Shock Web. So whenever we're talking about any of these traps, keep in mind that that is the stat which is going to increase their speed and not faster cast rate, although it does kind of look like you're casting a spell. In reality, you're creating these traps or setting or laying these traps. So it's all based off of how fast your hands are as opposed to how fast your brain is. What does that mean? What does that mean?